12 years. Just 12 years. The United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has issued a hair on fire report saying we have 12 years to avert the 1.5 degrees Celsius mark. That's the mark that they give for their adverse consequences, or deleterious consequences. Now, mind you, they're deleterious consequences. Even within that mark, I mean, we're seeing those now. But that's the number that they're trying to keep it below in order to revert disaster. Personally, I don't necessarily think this is something that can be averted by one country. But that said, one party is completely against this. That party is completely against it because their finances deem them to be against it, meaning the people who put money in their pocket, who stick money in their G-strings and send them out there, are entirely against this idea of regulating those industries. That's the Republican Party, of course. So it's easier for them to say it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. The interesting part, Donald Trump, in his own report, in his administration's own report, said it was going to hit 7 degrees Fahrenheit by 2100. So whether they say it exists or not, in that report, they said we can't do anything about it, so oh well. But for all intents and purposes, the Republican Party doesn't exist. Can't do anything about it, doesn't exist, you know. It's in the weeds. The Democratic Party, however, says it exists. They say we believe in science. We're the party that believes in science. We believe in the guys who build our planes, build our boats, build our rockets, build our missiles, explain our universe, build our rocket ships to go to the moon, build our ships to go into space, build our buildings. We believe in science. Now, science is a tool, but I'm making this point that we have a belief in the scientific method, and when the scientific method says, based on observation and based on research, that what we're doing to the planet is heating the planet up, we believe it. Great. Great. What are you going to do about it? Right. Isn't that a pertinent question? What are you going to do about it? The moment that you say you believe it, there's a certain degree of compelling of behavior. Like if I say there's an asteroid that's going to hit the planet, then I am immediately stuck with this idea of, okay, what am I going to do about the asteroid that's going to hit the planet? It is utter lunacy to say there's an asteroid that's going to hit the planet, but I'm going to sit on my hands and I'm just going to wait. That's utter nonsense. That is lunacy. But to some degree, that is what we have for the Democratic Party. Now, Tom Perez, the Democratic Party at one point had a ban on fossil fuels, and Tom Perez put through a resolution to get rid of that ban on fossil fuels. Just so we're clear. Hope you see it for yourself. Let's think progress. Lefty site. DNC chair introduces resolution reversing the party's ban on fossil fuel donations. Just 2 months ago, the DNC voted unanimously to ban donations from fossil fuel companies. This article is great, but the article is what it is. Just 2 months after the Democratic National Committee unanimously voted to ban donations from fossil fuel companies, DNC chair Tom Perez has introduced a resolution that would essentially reverse the ban. Now, not only is he reversing the ban, they're coding it in language as if he's doing this to help workers. It's amazing. I love the response from Jamie Henn. Jamie Henn, a spokesman for the environmental activists 350. This sort of spineless corporate pandering by the DNC is why Democrats keep losing. Touché. I second that. Touché. The world is at stake. Literally. The world is at stake. And with the world at stake, these guys are still trying to figure out how they can make more money. Now, part of this is because the DNC is cash strapped. And the other part is 91% of the wins, meaning 91%, the party that gets the most money wins 91% of the time. Meaning your focus, your goal, your main drive is to get more money than your opponent. Because under that model, 91% of the time, if you make more money, you're going to win. Now, that says something about a systemic problem within our system itself, that there could be drives built into the system that would have that system act this way, even with the world being at stake. The point is, if you're getting campaign donations from these guys, it creates a certain degree of influence. It creates a tether. It compels a certain degree of behavior. When you're taking money from somebody, everybody understands this, that if you're getting money from something, that it's changing the behavior of the individual. And in this case, of the political parties. This, I would argue, demands an answer. Like, the fact that Tom Perez was willing to do this, Tom Perez should be willing to answer for doing this, and she should have an answer for doing this. Enter in one Lauren Steiner. Now, I've said Lauren Steiner is a pit bull. I've seen her interview Jimmy Dore. I've seen her interview Cenk Uygur. I've seen her interview people associated with the teachers union. She is amazing at this. And she tends to be extremely assertive in a polite way when she's dealing with people like this. There was once where she was talking to a cop, and the cop is like, "Miss, if you keep acting like this, I'm gonna have to arrest you." And she's like, "All right, they didn't arrest me." Now, personally, some of the stuff I think if Laura was black, she would have been shot. But nevertheless, the cop arrested her relatively nicely. It was a little rough, but I've made the argument that that woman is a pit bull, and I love her for being a pit bull. She is a friend of the show. She's been on the show multiple times. I've even been on her show once. Enjoyed the experience. In this particular case, Lauren shows up at one of the DNC headquarters where these guys are out there phone banking, trying to get blue no matter who. And Tom Perez was supposed to stop by for a powwow, and give one of his breathless, empty speeches to a crowd of bored people, one of which keeps saying the DNC sold out the ban in Pennsylvania from the standpoint of oil and gas. Lauren has questions for Tom Perez. All of the questions that she has to ask him are pertinent. All of those questions should have been answered by Tom Perez. None of them were answered by Tom Perez. In fact, one of his henchwomen stops Lauren and is bored to tears with Lauren saying, "Look, these are the questions I don't want to ask Tom Perez." In fact is, one of those questions in particular, well, two, the oil and gas one is pertinent because the world is at stake. And the second one, if you can't say you believe in science while also taking money from the people who are essentially destroying the world, those two things don't follow. That goes with the whole Christian conservative thing. And the second part, a question dealing with the difference between Democrats and Republicans. That question he damn sure should have answered. There are a lot of people like me who don't believe fully that the political process is going to be salvation. Meaning, I don't believe in any of these guys. I am not confident that there will be a reinstalling of the Democratic Party. These guys are hacks. These guys are bought, and the problem to some degree is systemic. Now, I think Lauren is a little less cynical than I am about this, in which case she pushes in a political thing. And I still think the political edifice is there. It's just, it's ossified. It's broken. The way it's structured, it's systemically fraught with problems. I mean, you have a situation where these guys are just bought. It may not be as gross as here's money, do favors, But it certainly is, I am leaning in the direction of the people who are giving me the dollars. And it's a hard way to not see it that way. I don't know necessarily what faith people have in this political process and the way the political process is arranged. But I could be wrong. There have been changes in the political process. FDR was a change. Teddy Roosevelt was a change. Trust buster. So there are, Bill Clinton, for that matter, was a change. So I could be wrong. And I accept I could be wrong. In this case, it's kind of a moot point. Because Tom Perez ducked both questions. Couldn't be bothered. Let's take a look at this. This was Lauren trying to interview Tom Perez, doing her thing, and the great way in which she does it.
Do what next? Oh. Why? Yeah, but this is a public sidewalk. You can't tell me I can't stream here.
You can, but I'm just saying it'd be really nice and really helpful.
It would be really nice and helpful if he would do an interview with me, and I'm willing to tell you the questions I want to ask him.
Right off the bat, I love this. God, I love this. I love the blazer that the woman is wearing. Blue is my favorite color, and it looks great on her. B, I love the fact that Lauren is not taking any shit off of her in this great blazer. The woman is like, yeah, you can't stream here. And she's like, you can't say I can't stream here. This is a public sidewalk. Tax dollars pay for the sidewalk. I can stream it wherever I want. She says, yeah. And immediately there's a power exchange where the authority diminishes because authority was never there in the first place. And in this case, it boils down to, okay, I just don't want you to film Tom Perez. He's a sad man. I don't want you to film Tom Perez. Don't film my boss. And Lauren is like, I can film wherever I want to film. And she's like, I'm just saying it'll be helpful. It'll be helpful if he gave me an interview. God, I love this. I hope this is coming through, okay? Let me make sure. All right. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. The buffering will go away at the end of the video. I have it set for like 30 seconds to try to keep more lag, to try to cut down on the lag. But let's let Lauren do her thing.
Okay, but can I just tell you this, Sabrina?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're the Deputy Communications Director. You understand that the function is to try to present a good picture of the Democratic Party to voters. I can show you a tweet that I saved on my iPhone today that said, this guy is a millennial and nobody at his company is planning to vote because they can't see the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. That's a question that I want to ask him.
I totally understand. Again, as I've already told you, we're just not doing interviews today.
Well,
I really appreciate it. And thank you again for asking.
That's the look of a woman that could care less. I could care less. I'm just trying to, just tell me when you finish, and I'll give you the same sentence that we're not doing any interviews. I don't even want to talk to you. I'm just trying to get back to my boss. I don't care. This woman just told you that she has a tweet from somebody who's indicative of a lot of people, mind you, millions of people, who said, I'm not voting because I don't see the difference between Democrat and Republican. You answer that question. That's not a dickish question. That's not a pain in the ass question. That's a question where you're trying to create some level of difference between who you are and who they are. But instead, smug, can't be bothered. I have better things to do. My boss don't pay me enough. Tom Perez don't pay me enough of this. Let's let her keep going. But that's not a dickish question. That's a question that Tom Perez should answer. That's all I'm saying. Let's keep going.
You want to hear the other questions? Just so you know, there was a DNC ban taking money from fossil fuel companies, and then months later, they reneged on that ban. So I want to ask him why he did that. He also said that the DNC would not get involved in contested primaries.
Thank you so much for not doing interviews today.
All right.
Couldn't be bothered. Couldn't be bothered. We want you to vote, but no, we don't want you to bother us. We want you to vote, but no, we don't want to be bothered. Those are 3 questions that he should have answered. Full stop. The questions weren't bad. The questions were pertinent. I mean, ultimately, you've been getting a ton of flack from the fossil fuel thing. Tom Perez should have explained himself, seeing as Tom Perez decided to reverse that ban. And secondly, the first question of a luft, a difference between who you are and who they are, that's something you damn sure should have answered. Look, there are people like me who don't necessarily believe that the salvation is going to come through the political process. But there may be people who are closer, who are on the fence, who get pulled into this idea of a potential answer for those things. I don't know. I understand this thing of Tom Perez not wanting to be bothered and those being difficult questions. But because they're difficult questions, they should be answered. Not to mention, look horrendous not answering those. Let's hear the last part. Tom Perez goes on and have a breathless, worthless. Our unity is our greatest strength. It's nonsense.
And I come to you folks with both sobriety, born out of the fact that our democracy is on fire.
He's coming out of sobriety. What is Tom Perez, an alcoholic? Come out of sobriety. Oh God, this is the saddest man on the planet. This is the saddest man on the planet. He's like, put me out of my misery.
And it's a 5-alarm blaze.
Yeah.
But I come to you with unrelenting optimism. Because I have seen around this country the infectious energy. Folks stepping up. Thank you to all the women across America. Thank you to everyone who stepped up and ran. Folks, I was in Pennsylvania yesterday. Came here from Pennsylvania.
I hope you can see that. During the entire live stream of this speech, a viewer from Pennsylvania was complaining about how the Democratic Party sold out to the frackers in that state. But Tom Perez couldn't be bothered to answer any of that. Couldn't be bothered to answer Lauren's questions. And it's not just Tom Perez. I mean, it's Debbie Wasserman Schultz not having an interview or not having a debate with Tim Canova, ducking interviews with Tim Canova. Not interviews, ducking debates with Tim Canova. And even swamp creature Joe Crowley, who, again, in the same pattern, had to be shamed into a debate after missing one of the other debates, but it was in the area picking up his dry cleaning. I don't understand this tendency of, we want your vote, but no, we don't want to do anything for that vote. Even though the people who are giving them money full well expect favors for the money that they're getting. Tom Perez ducking basic questions that he should have answered. And Laura Steiner doing God's work, asking those questions anyway. Fucking A. Good job. Good job. What is this? I was going to buy a new keyboard, but I thought Jamarl was a better investment. Oh, I spilled beer on the space bar. Oh, I spilled beer on the space bar. I appreciate it. But dude, get a new space bar. Yes, I'm a good investment and I appreciate it, but get a new space bar. Your personal needs come first. Your personal needs come first. Heard Miss Tree, but I got my shift bar caps lock also. Oh, dude. Yeah, get a space bar, man. I'm sorry. Get a space bar. What is going on? Damn it. All right. It seems like my stream is going in and out. Let me see. Maybe it's something I have open. Yeah, man. Laura Steiner is a pit bull. Love her to death. She is a friend of the show. And I try to support friends of the show. So, keep kicking ass. Trudy, I can't believe you're up this late. It's 5:52 in the morning here. I've been up all night. I was editing the other video because the other video, the sound was screwed up. I'm trolling anti-Bernie donut people. I'm sorry, real lefties. I have one bakehouse a minute now. All right. End this here. If you guys enjoyed the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. And you can always support the PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all.